Hi, guys. Welcome to another segment of Legal Friday with me, Francine. So, over the last few weeks, I've had several inquiries about getting published. So, people have asked me if I would do a few segments that either focus on people who are already published and who might want to make some changes, or people who are interested in getting published, but they aren't sure what to do or how to go about it. So, I thought that was perfect. Many of you know I have been traditionally published. I published two books, the first by Random House before it became Penguin Random back in 2003. And my second book was traditionally published by Hazelden. I'm currently in the process of working on my first crime novel. So I have been traditionally published. The other thing is I represent several authors. I've represented authors who are traditionally published. I've also represented authors who maybe thought they wanted to get traditionally published, but then realized that self-publishing was the better route for them. And I've also represented authors who have gone the route of a vanity press. So I definitely come to the table with some experience on both sides of the table. So I thought, okay, I'm happy to do that. Plus, I've enlisted one of my girlfriends who is an editor at a traditional publisher, and she's become willing to let me do some interviewing with her. So she's going to do a series for me, and that should be interesting too, because you'll have the input of someone who actually on a day-to-day basis does this for a living for a traditional publisher. So I invite you to send the questions on. What I thought I would do today is, I wanted to actually just ask you some questions to get you to think about why you want to get published, what's in it for you, and what your end goal is. And what we'll do next week is we'll take a look at the difference between being traditionally published, being self-published, and being published by a vanity press. And then over the next few weeks, I'll do a segment on how do you go about choosing an agent, and do you need a lawyer and an agent? I mean, and all the things that you might want to think about, the pros and cons of each one. But for today, I've got some questions for you to think about, those of you who are interested in getting published. So here are some questions, and you may think to yourself, oh, Francine, those are so silly. They're like so elementary. Why are you asking me these questions? These questions are important because how you answer these questions will determine whether you choose the self-publishing route, whether you choose a vanity or subsidy press, or whether you choose to go after a traditional publisher. So first question is, what's the purpose why are you writing? Why do you want to write? Do you want to write just for your own personal, satisfaction, and only you and maybe your family will see the writing? Do you want to write because you have a message and you just really want that message to get out? Do you want to write as part of what you do for a living? Maybe you're not a writer, but maybe you have a business and you think writing a nonfiction book might really help take your business to the next level. There are all kinds of reasons that people write. What is your reason? That's the first question I'd ask you to think about. The next thing is, do you have an internet presence? Now, you may really think this is a ridiculous question, but trust me, it is not. Number one, if you are wanting to get published as a nonfiction author, excuse me, then you absolutely need to have a platform. And part of a platform today is through social media. But not only will you be marketing yourself for the most part as a nonfiction author, even as a fiction author, unless you are at the very top of that list, that small list, you're going to be required to do a lot of marketing yourself. So coming to the table with a platform, a presence, an internet presence is going to really be a benefit. We're going to talk a little bit more about what's a platform down the road if you're interested. If you are, send me a question and I'll make sure I do a segment on what is a platform and how do you go about getting it. In the meantime, you definitely want to start building up an internet presence. The other thing is, how much control do you want over your work? Do you want to have the final say in what your book cover is going to look like? Do you want to have the final say in the creative content within the book? Do you want to make a decision as to what the title is going to be? Do you want control? Bottom line, do you want creative control over your work. If you do, then that's going to also determine whether you should go the traditional route, whether you want to consider self-publishing, or whether you're willing to pay someone and have a vanity press publish for you. Another question to think about is, do you want all the money? Or are you somebody who's willing to share? Well, you might think that's a crazy question, but trust me, it is not. Next week, when we talk about the difference between the traditional publisher, the self-publishing route, and the vanity press, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each one. And trust me, if you want all the money, then definitely one of those is not for you. The other thing is, are you somebody who is more of a hands-on, I can do it myself kind of girl or guy? Well, if you are, then, that's going to also determine which route you take. If you, excuse me, if you're definitely okay with doing everything yourself or hiring someone to do it for you. And then finally, are you someone that likes to learn? Did you like school? Do you like learning now? You may think that's a really crazy question to ask. But again, when we talk next week about the difference between the traditional publisher, the self-publisher, and the vanity or subsidy press, you'll understand why I'm asking that question, because depending upon whether you like to do the work and you like to do the research, you like to learn, one of those is really going to be more important to you than the other. Okay, that's it for now. I am Francine, and this is Legal Friday with me, Francine. We are on the publishing track. Till next week, see you guys. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.